welcome to yet another episode of the Ponzi Scheme Show. I am still the host, Matt Ponzi. How are you? I hope everyone is doing well. Here in the Northeast, it's starting to get a little bit warmer. The snow is melting, and found out a couple days ago that my neighbor's pool apparently had a leak in the liner, and the entire pool slowly leaked out into the yard. So that kind of stinks. So, but I hope everyone is doing well. I'm glad that spring is just around the corner. Um, and I am in about an hour and a half. I'm going to be having my friend John on as my first guest via Skype, uh, hoping that everything goes well. I did a couple tests and, excuse me, should be doing good. So, last video I was rocking a bandana, and now I got my beer. So, Corona, Cerveza, Masfina. They're not a sponsor yet, but you never know. So I before I do my Skype interview with my good friend John, I just wanted to mention something. Excuse me, I'm like clearing my throat a lot. So I was just talking to a coworker a few moments ago, and in my last video I mentioned about being, talking to someone or trying to have an open conversation, like a open-minded conversation with someone that has the polar opposite opinion on certain things than you do. And so we were just chatting about all the nonsense going on in the world. Sip. And it got interesting. I'm not going to go into details about what we talked about, but what was interesting is I had just, in the last video, I was just talking about how I choose to handle those types of conversations. Now, it didn't get violent. It didn't, we weren't raising our voices. There was no name calling. There was mutual respect on both sides of the conversation. But what's interesting is that I'm trying to put this in a way that makes me sound smart, smarter than I am, and I'm not very smart. What I find interesting is that to quote Jackie Chan in, I believe, the first Rush Hour, talking to Chris Tucker's character, before Chris Tucker knew that Jackie Chan spoke and understood English. Jackie Chan says, excuse me, to Chris Tucker's character, you like to talk, and I like to let people who like to talk, talk, you know? So if you let someone just get it out of their system, maybe they just need to vent. Maybe they're wound up because they just read a news story or they saw a post on social media. But if you allow people to just get it out there and truly listen instead of and so many times you can almost see it in somebody's eyes that they're thinking about the next point the next thing that they're going to say instead of listening to what you're saying to them. So if you allow someone to talk and you listen to them, you wait for a pause. You don't want to cut someone off. Man, I can't stop clearing my throat. I guess I need more beer. Mm. So yeah, you allow someone to talk and you listen to what they're saying, wait for a break, and reinforce what they say, right? So whether that's saying their point back to them, for instance, so if I understand you, you're saying yada, 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 yada. Let them confirm it, whatever, make a noise. Uh, and then if they allow you to give your point, which I would hope that they would, because we want open conversations where both people are adding to it and they're receiving, they're understanding or trying to understand what the other person's saying. If we do that, a lot of this stuff will, I don't think we would have the kind of tensions, the division between people. So without going into detail what we were talking about, and we agreed on a lot of the points, but there was a mention of things that children deal with or are going through that's very, very different than how we grew up, him and I. And I made that point that, something that today would be considered abuse, 30, 40 plus years ago, there was no issue. I mean, back in the, even in the 50s and before, if a husband slapped his wife around, it was no big deal. I mean, it was a big deal, but it wasn't. I mean, when I was in school, the teachers hit us with paddles, with those pointer sticks, and that was fine. And if I went home and said, Mr. Whoever, Mrs. Whoever brought me up in front of the whole class and smacked me on my butt, with a stick or with a paddle, my parents would say, well, what did you do? Not, how dare that teacher touch my child? It's not what happened in the 80s, It wasn't until probably the early 90s where, kids realized that all they had to do was call a phone number and say, oh, my father did this, my mother did this, and now you got a social worker and 3 sheriffs showing up at your door, So it's very, very different. Again, without going into detail, if I was in elementary, middle school right now, right, and had my exact childhood, it would have been perceived. It definitely would have been perceived as that I was abused. I don't consider myself abused at all. I was a I was a dickhead as a kid, man, totally. And I don't think any kid deserves to get physically hit. I don't think it does anything, but I also think parenting is very, very hard, and you know, sometimes you just don't know what else to do. You know, I don't know. I'm not a parent, and I don't think it's very likely I will be ever. So it's really hard for me to, I feel like I shouldn't have an opinion on the subject as far as like how you or anyone should raise their children. But I don't know. So it was just, it's an interesting uh conversation, when, like I said, if you have people that are on polar opposites of a certain topic, or whatever it is, it's it's interesting when at least one of the people, you want both, but if one person calmly just listened and uh you know it's it's tough, you know if you're very passionate about something, and you're gonna talk to people about it. If you're out at, I mean, when things get back to normal, and you want to go out to a bar for happy hour after work, and somebody sitting next to you, whatever, and you guys start talking about whatever it is, politics or sports or whatever. If you're very, very passionate about something, you should know what you're talking about and know where you're getting your information from. Now, this particular conversation with my coworker, he made the comment, that the media lies. You don't get any information. You don't get any valid information from the media. And you don't know what is true and what's not. And he's right, absolutely. And I should have said this, and I didn't. I thought about it, and I didn't because I thought it would have came across as, uh, it. I didn't want to. I didn't want to come off as being, uh, a dick about it. I try to, you know, I don't know. I try to play nicey nicey. you know, I don't want to, but my point is, if that's true, that and I do believe it, that you're not getting the full story. There are agendas when you're on social media. If it's mainstream media, you're not going to get the full story. You might with some international, like BBC, you know, PBS. I think they're safe. You're not going to get one side or the other, especially international news, because whatever. But if you believe that this is all nonsense, and that all of none of this stuff is, you don't know who to trust, well, then how can you possibly have that strong of an opinion when all the things that you think are fact you hear from mainstream media? So all that frustration, all that aggression, all that anger you have stored up about whatever this thing is, whether it's, sports, or, well, mostly politics. That's where people get really aggressive. Um, so if you don't trust the media, then where are you getting your information from? You're getting it from mainstream media. It just happens to be the channel or the show that you watch, and it seems to, um, it makes sense to you. It sounds logical, what they're saying. It all adds up. It all makes sense, whatever it is. Um, so that's what you're going by. But if you don't listen to the other channels and then try to come up with your own conclusion, then I don't know. I just don't see how you can feel that strong about something if the source of the information you don't even trust. So, yeah. I just find it very interesting, that people are willing to get into arguments and not talk to someone that they were close um, to let something that really you have no control over, other than voting, other than educating yourself, instead of regurgitating what you hear and what you read. Um, you know what? And I'm guilty of it too, to be honest. When I was on Facebook, I would see something that, appalled me or made me laugh or whatever, and I shared it. And I didn't think about the consequences. Now, I never had that many friends, not that many people were even seeing what I was posting, but if you have a lot of followers and you're a big influencer, well, the things that you say, and the things that you post or that you put out there, a lot of these people have more viewers than these mainstream media shows. Matter of fact, just recently, CNN was complaining that some of these YouTube channels have more viewers than they do. And they didn't like it. They hated that idea. These people were, and some of them are teenagers, they're kids, and they're making more money than these news anchors that have been doing it for 30 years or whatever. You know, so if you have that much influence, um, I think that comes with a huge responsibility. You either, you know, tell the truth to the best of your ability, um, or you manipulate people, to make them think how you think. Um, so I don't know. It was just something I needed to kill some time. Figured, I don't know. I could make this another episode, but I don't know. Maybe I won't. Who knows? Um, so I'm just gonna sit here, drink my beer, and wait for my interview with my friend John. So until next time, uh, don't get schemed. That's going to be my new catchphrase at the end of every episode. Don't get schemed. Don't get scammed. Um, take care of each other. Try to, you know what? Because I want to end positive. Just keep an open mind about some things. Uh, if you're passionate about something and something's bothering you, and you feel like you're going to lash out, just take a step back, count to 10, and think to yourself, is it worth it? Do I want to get all upset? Do I want to take this negativity and put it out into the world? Or do I want to let it go? Do I want to look into it to see if I'm upset for no reason? You know, everything's a choice, and we can choose to be happy and just kind of roll with it, or we can be miserable and wonder why we're miserable and make everyone around us miserable. Or you could be in between. You can do a little bit of both. I don't judge. I choose to be happy and to try to soak up as much positivity as I can, try to deflect any negativity. And that's it. So don't get schemed. Don't get scammed. I'll see you next time. Thank you for joining me. Hope you liked it. If not, I'll try to do better next time. All right. Bye, everybody.